betrayed by blood. My sister's jealousy sparked a revenge that would change everything. I had always believed that family was everything. As a retired school principal, I dedicated my life to my students and my family, hoping to create a loving environment. My sister Livia was my closest confidant, or so I thought. I prepared a family dinner to celebrate my retirement, eager to share my happiness. As the evening unfolded, I noticed Livia's attitude shift. She seemed cold and distant, exchanging polite smiles but little warmth. It was unsettling. During dessert, Curtis, my husband, casually dropped a bombshell. He announced that he had changed his will, leaving me out and naming Livia as the primary beneficiary. My heart sank, and silence fell over the table. Livia's eyes sparkled with a mixture of excitement and something darker. I felt the betrayal wash over me like a cold wave. How could they do this? I had dedicated my life to this family, and yet here I was, dismissed as if I were nothing. I confronted Curtis and Livia, my voice shaking with anger. "How could you?" I demanded. They both shrugged, laughing it off as a joke. "You've always been so naive, Serafina," Livia said, her tone dripping with condescension. They framed my hurt as overreaction, igniting a simmering rage within me. I was no longer just a kind sister. I was a woman scorned, determined to reclaim my dignity amidst their betrayal. In the days that followed, I felt isolated. My family had become a battlefield, and I was the enemy. I overheard Livia mocking my aspirations to friends, ridiculing everything I had achieved. Each snide remark cut deeper, solidifying my resolve. I refused to be a victim. I started to plot my revenge, nurturing my anger like a flame, vowing to be strategic rather than impulsive in my retaliation. As I gathered information about Livia's life, I learned that her financial situation was precarious. A mutual friend confided in me about Livia's growing debts and the reality of her superficial lifestyle. Curtis, too, was not the man I thought he was. His infidelities were no longer whispers, but loud truths that rang in my ears. The pieces of my revenge began to fall into place. One afternoon, while cleaning the attic, I stumbled upon my grandmother's diamond necklace, a family heirloom. The moment I held it in my hands, a plan began to form. This gem could be my leverage, a way to turn the tables on Livia and Curtis. With its value, I saw a path to not only reclaim what was mine, but to expose their deceit. At the next family gathering, I casually mentioned the necklace in conversation, watching as Livia's eyes widened with envy. I played the part of the unsuspecting sister, while internally, I reveled in the chaos it would create. I wanted her to feel the sting of jealousy, to ignite the flames of competition among our relatives. It was time to sow the seeds of discord. As jealousy seeped into our family dynamics, Livia began to unravel. During our conversations, she unwittingly revealed her insecurities and financial troubles. My heart raced with excitement. Every admission was a thread I could pull on to unravel her carefully crafted facade. I continued to document everything, collecting evidence of her lies and deceit. I discreetly encouraged gossip about Livia, letting whispers of her financial struggles circulate among relatives. The more attention she drew, the more desperate she became. I watched as tensions rose and family members began to question her integrity. Livia's perfect image was cracking, and I enjoyed every moment of her unraveling. Feeling cornered, Livia approached me for help, her tone pleading. I feigned sympathy, playing the role of the supportive sister while secretly enjoying her turmoil. "Of course, Livia," I replied sweetly, masking my delight. I was determined to let her believe I was on her side while I secretly plotted her downfall. As the family feud escalated, Curtis confessed his frustrations about life and our marriage. I seized this opportunity, pretending to comfort him while subtly planting seeds of doubt about Livia. "She's not the sister you think she is," I whispered, masking my intentions behind a facade of concern. I was manipulating him without him even realizing it. I reached out to cousins, sharing my perspective and slowly gaining their support. They began to question Livia's integrity, forming a narrative in my favor. I painted myself as the victim, while Livia's facade crumbled under scrutiny. My plan was working, and I felt a surge of power as I watched the shift in family dynamics. As the power shifted, I cornered Livia privately, revealing snippets of Curtis's secrets without implicating myself. Her emotional meltdown was glorious to witness, and I took pleasure in the knowledge that I was the architect of her downfall. I had carefully crafted the narrative, and now it was unfolding perfectly. Unexpectedly, May, one of my cousins, confided that she had also been mistreated by Livia. We formed an alliance, vowing to expose Livia's deceit together. Our shared experiences bonded us, and together we began to craft a plan that would dismantle Livia's credibility entirely. Two voices were stronger than one. I called a family meeting, raising concerns about loyalty and financial decisions. The atmosphere was tense as I presented my case, carefully detailing Livia's actions and intentions. The family members listened, some nodding in agreement while others exchanged bewildered glances. The divide between my supporters and Livia's allies was becoming increasingly clear. As the meeting concluded, I documented everything, preparing to share my story publicly. I knew I had the upper hand, and I was ready to manipulate the narrative in my favor. The tension in the room was palpable as I left, but I felt a sense of triumph. My plan was falling into place. Public sympathy began to shift toward me as Livia and Curtis retaliated by enlisting misguided family members to discredit my character. Their attempts backfired, only serving to solidify my allies. I felt a growing sense of empowerment. I was no longer the quiet sister. I was fighting back. Just when it seemed Livia might regain her footing, I exposed hidden audio recordings where she discussed plans to undermine me. The shock among our relatives was palpable. I could see the betrayal wash over their faces as the truth came to light. Livia's carefully constructed image was crumbling, and I reveled in the chaos. I finally laid out my carefully constructed narrative online, sharing my sacrifices for family and revealing Livia and Curtis's betrayals. The response was overwhelming. People rallied around me, expressing their support and disbelief. I had become the rightful victim, and I was ready to embrace my newfound power. As Livia faced growing backlash, her allies began to distance themselves. The truth gained traction, and I felt the momentum shift in my favor. The support from relatives and friends poured in, while Livia's online presence dwindled as her attempts to salvage her reputation failed. The final confrontation was approaching. The atmosphere in the living room was charged with tension as family members gathered for what would undoubtedly be a decisive showdown. I had meticulously prepared for this moment, feeling a blend of nerves and excitement course through me. "Thank you for coming," I began, projecting calmness despite the storm brewing inside. I wanted to address recent events and how they've affected all of us. Livia scoffed, attempting to dismiss my concerns, but I stood firm. The time for silence was over. "Enough of the charade, Livia," I said, my voice steady. "We all know you've been using my kindness as a crutch while undermining me. Curtis, your role in this betrayal hasn't gone unnoticed." The room fell silent, and I could feel the weight of my words settle over everyone. I detailed the proof of their betrayals, emails, texts, and the audio of Livia's plans to exploit me. As I revealed my evidence, family members listened intently, shock evident on their faces. The confrontation escalated, and Livia's facade crumbled as she attempted to regain control, but it was too late. In the aftermath of the confrontation, I felt liberated. I had taken control of my life again, reclaiming my dignity and power. The family dynamics had shifted, and I was no longer the victim, but the victor. I had transformed betrayal into strength and emerged stronger than ever.